Today we'll present some observations on how and why Japanese coffee culture has entered and thrived in Melbourne's competitive coffee industry. We argue that Japanese coffee culture is a good fit for the local coffee scape, and this is partly because they share similar priorities and values. To show this, we're going to focus on three key shared priorities. First, commitment to personalized small-scale production. Second, commitment to craftsmanship. And third, commitment to reaching out to the local community. Melbourne prides itself as one of the most influential coffee capitals of the world. Often located in laneways, uniquely designed bespoke cafes cater to the sophisticated local drinking palate, providing their specialty coffee, food, and public space for people to participate in the social life. Historically, Melbourne's drinking culture was centered on British tea and pub culture. However, Melbourne's gold rush in the 1880s saw the rise of coffee palaces like this image as part of the temperance movements in Australia and elsewhere during that time. Migrants play a large part of Melbourne's coffee culture. Espresso machines came with migrants from Greece and Italy between the 1930s and 1950s. By the time American servicemen arrived during World War II, Melbourne was ready for its coffee revolution. Vying for dominance against British-style tea culture, coffee consumption rose sharply in the post-war era. By the 1960s, espresso bars provided a place for not only migrants, but also a mix of people like bohemians and teenagers to meet and socialize. Recently, we've seen an increase in Japanese-style cafes and coffee in Melbourne. While espresso-style brewing is still dominant, Melbournians' preference for lighter roaster style made room for Japanese-style brewing techniques, tools, and presentation that go with a pour-over style. Japanese coffee culture seems to be adapting well to the local market desires because they both value personalized small-scale production. The majority of the cafes in Melbourne are independently owned, which means that almost every cafe looks unique and has its own personality. These small cafes are encouraged to be as personal and unique as Melbournians themselves. Food is one of the effective ways to meet their expectation. So to do well here, it's critical for them to have not just good coffee, but also key dishes on their menus. These small Japanese-influenced cafes feature coffee crafts and thoughtful food pairings. This is also making room for the inclusion of Japanese-style dishes like matcha mousse and even onigiri rice balls as an alternative to sandwiches. Craftsmanship is another factor behind the spread of Japanese-style coffee here. Being barista often requires formal training combined with on-the-job experience. This career pathway reflects the notion of shokunin, a committed craftsperson in Japan. Barista must first master the art of espresso machine, but increasingly, pour-overs are valued for their lighter taste and handmade quality. For these drinks, Japanese tools and aesthetics, such as those made by Hario, are common sight around Melbourne. Since initial lockdowns were implemented in March 2020, the local cafe culture has been wholly transformed. Many cafes in Melbourne continue to offer their coffee and food to the local customers via delivery, pickup, or drive-in to comply with social distancing restrictions. Recently, due to COVID-19, indoor cafe owners have been using duct tape to mark 1.5-meter distances on the shop floor for customer safety. Other cafes were equipped to offer pop-up outdoor service in parks like this image to provide a low-risk shared environment for coffee enjoyment. Japanese coffee shokunin at this cafe serves only takeaway, but is also now offering handmade cloth masks for sale. His cafe survives with the support of local shop owners and regular customers while reaching out to the community through the alternative services during that pandemic. Given Melbourne's limited opportunities for social expression, we could argue that takeaway coffee provides a way to reach out to the local community's needs for coffee rituals at a distance. The rituals that can give people peace of mind during these unprecedented times. So, is the developing Japanese coffee culture in Melbourne the new sushi? What we are sure about at this stage is that Japanese coffee culture is neither an ethnic enclave nor an ethnic exclusive, but there are new contender or possibly a new collaborator with different histories, but similar shared priorities and values. In our research, we found that Japanese coffee culture is finding its own place in one of the world's coffee capitals, Melbourne. This is partly because they share local values, including personalized small-scale production, craftsmanship, and reaching out to the local community. While the pandemic dealt a blow to the industry, we see that Melbourne's commitment to coffee does not waver. Coffee is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Coffee is highly sociable, highly mobile, and a highly valued commodity, which can adapt and change to extraordinary circumstances. Coffee is functional as well as pleasurable, as it fuels our mornings as we dream of a better future. It provides us continuity through times of hardship. We send our best wishes to all cafe owners and coffee drinkers in Melbourne and around the world. Thank you.